Annatina is the Deputy Head of eHealthSuisse and the Swiss Competence Centre
and Coordination Centre. So a warm welcome to Annatina, and thank you so much, and we look forward to your presentation.
Okay. Hello everybody, and thank you very much for the invitation to be presenting as a keynote speaker today. And I also want to thank you that you followed our invitation, the Swiss invitation, to come to Switzerland to have the IHE Connectathon, IHE Experience Day here in Montreux. This was something we were aiming for a long time, together with IHE-Suisse, to have the Connectathon in Switzerland. There were many obstacles, financial ones, organizational ones. There was the pandemic. And so that we finally are here gives me good hope for the future of the whole digitalization, digital transformation in the healthcare sector, because we see also things take time, they have obstacles, but in the end, we reach it. So just a small overview on Switzerland. I suppose you all looked it up on Wikipedia before coming here. It's a small country, 8.6 million inhabitants, but still we have very many sub-regions, as we call it, the Cantons, who are responsible for the health system. So 26 in this small region with also 4 different languages. And the health sector, again, is fragmentized into many providers. As usual, most of them are privately driven. So why should I tell you something about lessons learned? Because in the international comparison, Switzerland often is in the last few places. So for example, in the Bertelsmann Stiftung, in the international ranking, we were placed 14 out of 17. So maybe you should rather not listen to me how you should digitize your healthcare system. But maybe you look at the reason why we are not more ahead compared to other countries like Canada or Estonia. So also from studies, you see that the success in digital transformation is to have an effective strategy. This one, we have it, the eHealth strategy 2.0. It's also necessary to have a coordinating body who most of all has a political anchorment, but also is responsible for implementing or for the standardization, not implementing it, but bringing it into the system. So this is also, we can check it, it's eHealthSuisse, like my organization, who is responsible for that. We are not a governmental agency and also not a cantonal agency, but a common agency of government and cantons, so to bring all the different health strategies together. But another very important point, the political leadership, which is necessary, is missing in our case. As I already told you, we have these many cantons who have different strategies, and we also have a private sector-driven healthcare system. So the leadership is missing, which is something which is also seen on the governmental side right now. So there are works on revisioning laws, on government, on governances. They're working on it because we were seeing in the last few years that when the governance is not clear, the financing is also not clear, which also leads to nobody moving in the system, taking steps. But therefore, I will not talk about the governance thing. We had heard it this morning several times. It's very important to that it's not only a technical project, but also a cultural project, that it's politically supported. So this one we know that we are missing it in Switzerland. I will talk about the other 2 points which guaranteed some development in our case, and also mostly about the Projectathon, our testing event we have had since 2017 for several years, and where we think we made a lot of profit out of it. So the strategy is very simple. It's only focusing on the eHealth record on the introduction and dissemination of the electronic patient record. It means it's not, it's quite tight from the focus. And this is something which was only realized during the pandemic, that for the digital transformation of the healthcare system, there are also other sectors which should be looked at, like for example, research or reporting. So all these areas, they will only be involved in the next strategy. Right now, where the focus is actually totally on the electronic patient record. Therefore, I say a few words about it, only short. It's an opt-in system. Means you have to choose to be part of it, and you have all the rights as a patient. You can access your data, and you can also share it with your healthcare providers if they are part of the EPR, because it's mostly also voluntary on their side. Only the hospitals and care homes are obliged to take part in the EPR. So this is a system which takes off now slowly in the last few years. It's something, the health system, Swiss health system is reflected in the implementation of the EPR. There is no national, not one system. There is a national law which takes care that of the interoperability and the data security, data protection. So the technical requirements are written there, but the implementation is taking place on the different region. So we have like 8 different providers, EPR providers, which are privately driven or supported by Cantons. So it's a decentralized system, but what we tried, like when we made the technical requirements for the EPR to bring into the system are the standards, like on the order frameworks. I know that IHE is not a standard, but a framework, but I often interchange this word, and I hope there are some people who are very allergic on it. I hope they are not in this room. So the technical cross-linking is done by IHE profiles. The content profiles, which are not yet introduced in the EPR, but this is the future, they are mostly covered by HL7 FHIR profiles. We will also have CDA due to the e-medication, which was presented this morning by Stefan Spani. But for all the new profiles, we will totally reduce, only use FHIR. And for the coding, we have been a member in SNOMED since 2016. So we use SNOMED right now only for the metadata, but once we have structured content in it, we will also use it for that. There we are collaborating with Germany and France for the translation of SNOMED, and we are looking forward if Italy will also join, or at least some regions of Italy, to have an Italian translation group as well. This is the IHE, like the profiles we are using. I just put the link for the very technical people of you who are interested in it. What I just wanted to point out is that we try to use the international profiles wherever possible. Like this was really our aim. And if it's not possible, then we try to work with national extensions. And so all these profiles are required by law. There are some cases, mostly regarding authentication and authorization, where we couldn't find according profiles in the IHE framework. It's all the ITI framework we're using. So we had to do our own profiles, the national ones. They are also required by law. And for the future, we plan to have the mHealth profiles also introduced in our law. Apart from content profiles, but as I said, they're mostly based on HL7. So they are tested right now in the projectathon. We really hope that there's a lot of testing that we advance, that we can see or prove that the profiles are ready to be part of the EPR system. So what we take back from using this ITI profile, so only for the infrastructure, is that it's actually an overall success, we can say, to have the system implemented on these profiles. Like, it was better accepted when you use standards, it's vendor independent, and it also accelerated the whole cross-community system we built with our EPR. So, and then it also allowed us to include vendors, to meet them regularly on a monthly basis, to talk about improvement of the profiles or how to implement them. This wouldn't be possible if this would be a proprietary system. But there are also 3 points, maybe we are thinking less of them, or people forget about them. Like, one is, you don't introduce standards once. Once you have them, you also have to maintain them, you have to keep track with the changes on an international level. And this is quite a work burden. I think we were underestimating it in the beginning. It's an effort, it's a burden, but it's feasible as well. And it's also a motivation to be always part of IHE International, so you can get track of it. Another important point is that standards are not only something which you can take, but you should also give back something. This is what we are trying. Our aim is to have all the national profiles, not as national profiles anymore, but as national extension from the international profiles. And therefore we have to bring back when we notice that there is a limitation to an IHE profile, which we think should be opened up on an international level, we bring this back to IHE International. But of course, this also takes time. And sometimes we have the discussion with the ministry, who wants to have the technical requirements as quick as possible. And you are much quicker if you write it yourself, always, than when you use standards in the beginning. But in the end, and this is what we try to show, when you use standards which are used on an international basis, you have something which is very, very reliable, which is very stable, and which is also sustainable and will work in a whole network. So that's mostly now with the new MHD profiles, we really bring our insights back to the international level to have them so that we can use them directly without having national profiles. And a third important point is that we are talking about the political level a lot, but you also need technical people who in the end do the work and write the profiles. And this sometimes also gets forgotten, or the ratio sometimes I think is not that fair. We only have so few people working on the technical requirements. I think this is a European symptom, that you don't have enough people who really know the technical foundations. So I really want to give out a great thank you to the mostly 3 people in this ITI framework of Switzerland who work for it. It's Martin Smok, Dmitro Ruth, and Oliver Ecker, who will also have a speech afterwards about how to work in this ITI committee. So you also have to have the people who can discuss within the working groups. But actually, I wasn't supposed to talk about the lessons learned with IHE profiles, but with the EPR Projectathon, our testing event. So I'll say a few words about this as well. I mean, the most important lesson learned is you should never ever make monitor t-shirts with this color. It was a peach color. I chose it because it was very nice with the light in the venue, but I realized that it was really not popular to say it like this with the monitors. So since then, I think this leveled down there. Usually they like to come to work. They're there on a free basis, but so from now on we only use white and blue shirts. That's something we take from it. We have had this testing, which is like a connectathon, just on a project basis, now based on the EPR, and therefore it's smaller, focused on the EPR profiles. We've started in 2017, and this is already our 6th projectathon. And we had the luck that we could have it on site, face to face, every year in September, also during the pandemic years, which is very helpful. We also had one online projectathon, and actually we have you could test online all the time. We also tried to motivate companies to test online. We called it testing waves. We labeled it nicely, but it doesn't work. It just works when people are on site and are together in one room to test their profiles. We also had projectathons at connectathons, also not like today, but we went to Rennes and Den Haag to have projectathon corners. But there we also realized it's kind of a competition. It's not something which excludes each other. We motivate vendors to attend both, because in the connectathon you learn the basic IHE profiles, which you can use for all your systems, for all your products. And on the EPR projectathon, you have the focus on the EPR profiles. So, and generally we have 15 to 20 vendor firms participating, which is about 50 to 80 people. And what is nice to see is that they're coming each year again. So it seems that it helps them. The system is also based on Gazelle. We have our own Gazelle instance. It's called the reference environment. It's done by IHE-Services or Kereval now, and based on a WTO contract. It's quite a large contract, so we had to have this WTO procurement. Although I think there are not many companies who have this knowledge, which IHE-Services or Kereval have. So you can test all basic profiles, all EPR profiles, and as a specialty at the projectathons, we have not only peer-to-peer testings, but also we call it group tests, where we have use cases of the EPR, where many transactions are used, so to simulate how a patient uploads his document. If you want to see the difference between projectathon and connectathon, is that our results are not public. We want that the vendors can really learn and make mistakes in our environment, because after that they still will have a certification. So they will have the same tests where a certification body looks behind their shoulder if they do everything correct. So they have this official testing following after the projectathon. So at our voluntary test event, they can really use it to make mistakes, to try things, to discuss with the experts, the monitors. So the monitors also don't have to be vendor independent for that case. And our event is a little bit cheaper than the connectathon. It's only the fee for the food, which is covered by the participants, and eHealthSuisse responsible for the rest. But to be honest, it's not that different if you pay 300 Swiss francs or 1,000 Swiss francs for attendance. I mean, what is the expensive part for a company is to be 1 week present. You cannot work on another project. You have to work on these profiles. You have people not available. So actually it costs a lot for a company to be at the projectathon or connectathon, but it seems that it pays off because they keep returning. So in a consequence, I would say it's like a win-win-win situation. The vendors they profit for the maturity of their products. Also Gazelle, or the reference environment, profits because you can detect errors on their side, and the government, or we as the authors of the technical requirements, profit because we discover possibly mistakes in our requirements. So this is a very positive thing, but it also means that somebody has to move first, because when the specs are not yet ready, maybe the vendors don't want to test it, and it's not worth to implement it in Gazelle. So you have to go step by step and also start with not so ripe product or not so mature profiles. And we really advanced in the last few years. We saw that you need about 3 testing events that you have really specification ready for the implementation in the law. And what we also discovered is that the political level, which takes more time, the EPR, which takes off only very slow. We only have 11,000 EPRs at the moment, the population of 8 million people. And you know, with that few people, you don't get the network effect you want from this EPR network. So some vendors, or okay, only one actually, a very important vendor was frustrated, didn't participate this year because he said they invested so much in the EPR, in the profile evolution, in the involvement of, in the build up of the profiles, but then it just doesn't take off. The hospitals doesn't require it. They don't have enough feedback from their clients. So because the political level is too slow, and they would be ready so with their product, but it's not in use. Or also they don't want to be the first one to test a new profile if they don't know when it will be part of the law and really implemented by hospitals or clinical systems. So there you also have to, this is another reason to speed up the pace a little bit. But in the end, it's really positive experience to have these projectathons. I think we will continue. We didn't know for the first time, when we did the first time, if we will have several ones, but now it seems like clear that we will have one every year, because even there will be new profiles, but there will also be new vendors participating. So there is still a lot of room to improve. And what is also very important is that you build up kind of a community when everybody is in the same room. You have the testing event, but you also have the lightning talks, the coffee breaks, the social events. So you build up a community which is interested in IHE profiles. Therefore, you also build up people who know about IHE profiles, who can work on this and to spread it like out to their own companies. So maybe you can have, or you will have a short look into the Projectathon Connectathon venue. And I welcome you to also ask me if you are planning something similar in your country about our experience. We're really ready to share. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much. So, yeah, nice presentation. So thank you so much, Annatina, for presenting the work of